Attention all F1 fans, welcome to F1 Max. So what the hell has happened to Sergio Perez? It was not that long ago we were talking about a Lewis Hamilton-Nico Rosberg-like title fight between the two Red Bulls, but now Checo seems to have regressed massively since his last win. What has happened that has allowed Max Verstappen to take a huge lead over his teammate? Let's look at what has gone wrong for Sergio Perez, what he needs to do to get back in the title challenge, as well as whether Red Bull are once again favouring Max Verstappen. So don't go anywhere, and let's get into the video. After Max Verstappen cruised to the Formula 1 world title last year, there were expectations that the exact same thing would happen this year. Sergio Perez was miles off his teammate last year, the clear second driver with Red Bull. While Red Bull's dominance has continued this year, there was one point in the season where a title race was still on the cards. It may seem like a very long time ago now, but after the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, the Red Bull drivers were separated by just 6 points. Checo had a great start to the season, winning 2 of the first 4 races, as well as winning the sprint race in Baku. In Azerbaijan, Perez was able to show he could maintain a faster race pace than Max. It was another example of Checo's brilliance on a street circuit. However, since that win in Baku, things could not have gone much worse for Checo. He's watched his Dutch teammate take 77 from the available 78 points. Perez has scored just 30 points in the last 3 races, even though 2 of them have been street circuits where he usually excels. The expectations were particularly high in Monaco, where Perez picked up a brilliant win last year. Much like last year, Perez crashed in qualifying, except this year it was at the start of qualifying instead of the end. This was a horrific mistake, as it meant Perez had to start the race at the back of the grid. Despite an alternative strategy and the Red Bull's fast pace, Perez could only get up to 16th from the back of the grid. Perez tried his best to take advantage of the changing conditions in Monaco, but the hill was just too high to climb and he missed out on any points. I'm sure being lapped by his teammate twice would have made Checo quite mad. His mistakes continued in Spain, where he just seemed to lack the pace of his teammate throughout qualifying. Failing to get into the final session of qualifying in the same car that goes half a second faster than anyone else is a terrible performance. Perez recovered better than in Monaco, but the Mercedes were just slightly too far ahead, and he failed to get onto the podium for the second race in a row. So that gap that was 6 points is now 53, and it doesn't look like Max is going to be slowing down anytime soon. It just seems like mistakes are starting to creep into Perez's recent performances, and that is not going to work when you're supposed to be competing against a machine like Max Verstappen. Checo needs almost flawless driving to be able to keep up with Max, and that does not look like it's going to happen at the moment. One of the things that seems to be hurting Perez at the moment is actually his relationship with the team. Since the start of the season, there have been rumours that Perez feels like he's working against the team. You don't have to be a Formula 1 expert to know that Max Verstappen is the golden child of the Red Bull team. They've been prioritising Max for the last 5 years, and this still seems to be the case this season. But it seems like Perez has tried his best to turn it into a positive. He seems more determined than ever to win the championship. Perez has this newfound determination to challenge the Dutchman, but he will need to cut out his recent mistakes. In an interview prior to the Canadian Grand Prix, Checo spoke about the hard work he's been doing in between races. Perez said, "I'm looking forward to getting back in the car this weekend. I've been in Milton Keynes since the Spanish GP, working hard with my team, and we've put in a lot of good work and had some very constructive conversations." Perez seems to be focused on getting back to the top, saying, "I know what I must do to get back to the form I am capable of, and as a team, we know how to get the car into a window where I will perform best." Sergio has clearly been upset by his recent performances and wants to get back to the top of the grid. He added, "Getting through moments like this, it's more important than ever to work as a team, and we will all support each other to push for the win in Canada." What will help Checo is that he has a brilliant car, which is easily the fastest on the grid. Sergio added, "I have a fantastic car, and it's always exciting to get behind the wheel. I must be massively consistent in Montreal and have a complete weekend." The issue for Perez is that he's not the only one with the fastest car on the grid. His teammate Max Verstappen will be looking to make it 4 wins in a row in Canada, where the Red Bulls can show off their straight-line speed. The Dutchman said, "It's always nice to go back to Montreal. It's a great city and the fans are great there. The track is very unique because you actually get to ride some old-school curbs, and the scenery's pretty cool too. Verstappen heaped praise on the car, saying, "The car setup has to be a careful balance between straight-line speed and being able to run on the curbs well. We have to find a good trade-off." Of course, last year's win is still in my mind, so hopefully we can do something similar this weekend. If Sergio Perez wants to get back into the title challenge, there are a few key things he needs to do starting at the Canadian Grand Prix. The first one is a lot easier said than done, but Checo has to cut out the mistakes that have seen Verstappen extend his lead in the past few weeks. In qualifying especially, mistakes can be recovered in the race. But if Sergio allows Max to get on pole, he's going to have no chance. We've already seen how Max is able to build up a lead from the start of the race, and Sergio would need a big pace advantage to catch up, which is not going to happen. Perez needs to be aiming to be on the front row every weekend, as this gives him the chance of being in the lead after the first corner. Max is not always the fastest off the line, and so Checo being on the front row gives him the best chance of getting to the first corner faster than his teammate. To a certain extent, Checo is going to need some good luck to get back into this title race. Max has been pretty much flawless this season, and this is what has brought him such a big lead in the championship. While Verstappen has looked unstoppable the last 18 months, there's still a mistake in there, as well as a chance of something mechanical ending his race early. Perez can't really control what Max does, unless he crashes into him, but I don't think that's the best way to win the title. Checo's best chance is to try his best to ignore what his teammate is doing and just focus on collecting as many points as possible. Red Bull's dominance over the rest of the grid may have an extra benefit that no one is talking about. In the past, teams have been hesitant to let both drivers race against each other because it could have cost them places in the constructors' standings. When you're battling against other teams, the last thing you would want is both of your drivers crashing out. In the past, this might have been the reasoning for Red Bull trying to separate their drivers. However, this year is a little different. Red Bull are already 135 points ahead of Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship, and they could even claim the title in record time if the form continues. So if Red Bull have very little chance of being overtaken in the Constructors' Championship, they have no reason to not let their drivers battle it out. This will likely take place later in the season, as long as Red Bull can secure the Constructors' Championship early on. This would allow Checo to have the chance to overtake Verstappen on track if the two are racing for position. Maybe it's more hope than anything else, but I do believe that Sergio Perez could challenge for the Formula 1 World Championship this season. He certainly has the pace over a single lap to at least give himself a chance in the race. The gap in pure race pace between the two drivers does seem to have decreased this season. The big difference between the two drivers this season has been mistakes. Checo will likely need to be as close to perfect as he possibly can be. He can't afford more races like Monaco. Perez should also consider taking more risks moving forward. If he's going to lose the title to his teammate, he may as well take a few risks on the way. I guess we'll just have to wait and see whether we get an exciting title race in 2023. So what do you think? What has gone wrong for Sergio Perez this season? Do you think he could turn it around and become a headache for his teammate? Why not put your thoughts in the comments below? While you're down there, why not hit the like button and subscribe? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.